Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm here with Tom, who is killing it with print on demand, but also he's got his hands in a bunch of different like cutting edge technology projects. Today he's here to talk about how he's using AI to generate at the peak, correct me if I'm wrong, but like sometimes six figures a month in revenue. So
Yeah,
Tom, what's up, man?
it's about 50 to 100,000 a month. December, way more, quite a lot more than that. And I think this December it's going to be maybe 200, 300,000. So looking forward to see where that goes.
That's amazing, man. And right off the top, like, so you're going to be showing us some of your like tips and tricks of how you did this, but also you're here because you're in partnership. Is that right? With Nvidia,
Mhm.
and you're
Yeah.
conducting a survey?
Yeah. So my main startup is in partnership with Nvidia on the research side of things. And we're kind of doing a research study that we're about to start, just kind of exploring more about the intersection of generative AI and print on demand. So it's great talking to you about that and kind of eventually hearing some of your followers' feedback on that system and how they might be using it or trying to use it. So that'll be really interesting, I think.
No, I appreciate that. So anybody watching too, we're going to put the link right at the top of the description. We're not asking for any money or anything like that. You can follow what Tom's going to show us in this video, but also take part in this survey and help Nvidia, who, by the way, like they're behind a lot of the generative AI tools. Like I'm sure you've heard of Midjourney, MyDesigns, Dream AI. I love that. A lot of them are funneling right back into a lot of like Nvidia technology.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's really interesting what they're doing there. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you just want me to start by kind of showing the print on demand store that I've been doing. So I actually work full time in AI and I have for quite a while now, automation before that, but I have kind of been involved in print on demand a bit on the side. I started when I was about 10 or 11, and I kind of just had it in the background until about 2 years ago. But then over the last 2 years, I've kind of managed to scale that up to what we were talking about while working in AI. And there's kind of a great intersection right now that I've been kind of playing around with AI with the print on demand. So I kind of just can start by showing that store if you'd like.
yeah, dude, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so here's the Etsy. This is where we started, and this is where a substantial percentage of the revenue is from. We've recently shifted this into more of a actual website here, where there's a kind of more control over the brand, obviously. The Etsy kind of scaled up in the background when we were first starting. I wasn't really focusing on it very much with my full-time job and everything. But we've started to prioritize this a bit more and try and shift some of those to sales into somewhere where there's less revenue being shared with Etsy, obviously. So this is called Get Stitch, and this is the biggest brand that I have. It makes up most of the revenue from that 50 to 100,000 a month. It's not. It's a mix of non-custom products such as these ones here, corduroy hats. They do really well, and custom products. So these are create your own. The bulk of the business is, however, these custom products, and this is where we started. There's a ton of other people competing against us, and we kind of had to turn down a lot of people giving requests for designs because it was too complicated or too much work. So what we actually started doing is using generative AI to either edit or make completely new images for the customers, and that made us able to dramatically increase the percentage of people's orders that we could actually do. So we were spending a lot on ad spend where people didn't convert super well because we couldn't do their designs for them. And then that kind of new system made it so that we could do that, and we converted ad spend, or we brought ad spend to a way higher point, and we're able to convert that much better. So that system has kind of helped us scale up the entire store a ton. But we actually wanted to kind of take it a step further and have actual AI made products where it's designed in real time. So
Dude,
an example of that, yeah,
that's
it's really
awesome,
cool.
by the way. Like I
Yeah.
had a theory that one day Amazon will just replace most of the print on demand sellers
Mhm.
because they'll just translate the customer like search
Yeah.
input
Yeah,
into.
it is
Yeah.
interesting because there's kind of a structure you can set up to get pretty complex custom products. Like the simplest possible example, here's an example of that. And this part of the site's not functional right now, but it will be soon. We're just converting it to a faster server. So if you guys want to check out the link, I'll also attach that. It should be functional again soon. This simplest example is someone types in a design and they get real-time mock-up of this turtle. So we just typed in turtle in succulents or something, and then you type that here, hit generate preview, and then you can order that right away. So I think that's super cool. But I think where it can take a step further is more advanced real-time generation. So that's what Glimpse is doing. So this is my main startup here. Here's an example of this. So our store mainly does custom simple embroidery. So here's an example of a custom simple embroidery right here. So say someone comes to our store and they want an axolotl that likes coffee. That's very specific. Normally you'd have to pay extra, wait for someone to design it, find an artist for that, and the seller you would charge more. And then from the point of view of the seller, it would be a lot of work to get people's custom orders made. So the way Glimpse works is you set up parameters for the generation. This example right here, the seller, which would be us, would set up the generation so that it generates certain colors because it needs certain hex codes to work with the embroidery. It always needs to have thick black borders. It needs to have pure big colors. And if you actually train the AI to generate under those parameters, you can get very specific designs made. So if we set up that with Glimpse and you came to the website, you could type in oxalate drinking coffee, and you know that it would fit those parameters, so the right colors, the right hex codes, the right border thickness, etc. And then it could also overlay that onto the correct mockups. And that actually goes a lot more advanced than print on demand. And another example would be 3D models. So if you're doing something really specific like 3D models out of wood, you could have the AI generate custom 3D models for those parameters. And then you get a notification saying you got an order. Here's the 3D model that you need to use for that. And then you can actually take that and make that into the model. So our AI is not completely built yet right now. We're still working on that. But that actual tool has 3D model generation, 2D model generation, and actually some other cool kinds of generation. So the idea is that the customer comes, they get the design made, or the mock-up made rather, because it's not just designs. And then that's sent to the buyer, and then they can actually make it. So it really kind of brings up a level of custom products. Obviously, custom products print on demand has been taking over, but also custom products in general. If you just look for like the searches on Google for that recently, it's just gone up a lot. And it's billions of EUR being spent on custom gifts, hundreds of millions in certain sectors like print on demand. And this kind of takes that to custom products 2.0, because it's real-time generation, so it's super fast. There's no back and forth with the seller. And then on the seller side, it's really way easier to do. So you can get a mock-up immediately. And conversions just go up insane when you do this, because if someone orders that custom oxalate drinking coffee, they get the preview for free. And the chance that they want that custom product that they just designed for themselves is so much higher. So it's just a super big win-win for the buyer and customer. And we're kind of betting that this will kind of convert the entire custom products market, not just in print on demand, but in general. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with Glimpse.
Yeah, that's really impressive, Tom. Like, I actually had a conversation with somebody maybe 2-3 years ago who developed their own like custom software that was like overlaid on Shopify that was solely for the purpose of streamlining customization. It basically added a layer of like, I mean, it was behind what you just showed me where AI can do it in real time, but basically like added a layer for going back and forth with the customer. But instead of it being like via email where it's easy to lose things or someone just doesn't respond, and it just added kind of like an interface, a way to interface with the customer, get the customization perfect, and then approve. You know what I mean, and give chances for back
any
and
way
forth.
you can move kind of closer to the customer as they're ordering something custom is great. Like a live chat or anything like that really improves it. Do you need help? Something simple like that. But this just takes it to a whole new level where it's like they're working live with the designer.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really cool.
They had like a whole team of people that used the software, and like they told me the numbers they were hitting, and it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah.
But like that was kind of like, I mean, that could be replaced so quickly. You know what I mean? Overnight, if they don't pivot and keep up to date with what's now easily integrated with AI.
If there was a way for us to just release Glimpse right now for private use for ourselves and know that no one else could ever copy us, I'm confident that could scale guest stitch and everything from like a couple million a year to what, like 10, 20 million a year revenue or something like that. And then we could create a bunch of other brands in other industries like that, just because of how big of a competitive advantage you get from that. But I know that's not going to be the case, and that there are going to be tools like this coming out eventually. So I want to be behind that instead. But I mean, in terms of print on demand, even, I think it's going to be a super important and valuable thing to start to get into, and in the long term, because I think that's where it's all headed with custom products.
For sure, man. And so a lot of people that are watching this, when they think custom products, probably their like easiest way of implementing right now and trying to get a sale is Etsy. So do you want to just briefly talk to them about what their workflow might look like? Like they go create a list, like a product listing. Do they use like, it looked like maybe that was a Printful corduroy hat. So do they go to Printful and create the listing?
We've been using Printful for that kind of thing. But I mean, to get started, I would recommend finding something niche custom. It's kind of hard to break into those, like a path that just says your design here or something like that. That takes a long time to get SEO. These really creative custom ones can be really amazing. If you find like if you have, for example, Mid-Journey and you want to start making custom stickers and you found a really good prompt that has a consistent style, you can make some examples for that, have a listing with that, and say custom designs in this style, and that it starts to take off. For example, we did a custom Van Gogh style, so we just had the AI get trained on Van Gogh style. So we were using a different AI, not Mid-Journey. It was a privately trained one, but it's the same effect. For example, we just did custom pet portraits as Van Gogh style like a while ago. That was kind of before Mid-Journey was as clean as it is. So we just kind of trained on that style and would convert people's picture into that style. And just anything creative like that that's niche. If you can find an existing niche and kind of say like there are great designs here, oxalate designs, for example, but no one has any custom oxalate designs. Like, for example, our non-custom oxalate design, people were asking for, we want an oxalate with a Santa hat. We want an oxalate standing at the beach. There's just these super random things. If you can have examples of that, I'd say the hardest thing right now is communicating to people what the product is, because it seems too good to be true, especially if they don't know about AI. They seem like, how can I get a custom made product like this for so cheap? I think people are going to start getting used to that. So just ignore that factor. People will reach out and ask questions, and people will not order it sometimes because they don't believe it. But once you start to get reviews and SEO, those custom ones that are kind of niche start to do really well. But I mean, I recommend, if someone wants to try and get into that workflow, Midjourney is amazing. Midjourney plus a couple of tools like background removal and stuff, and just Photoshop takes it to a whole new level. You can start to do super complex stuff really well and really fast. So you can keep prices lower and have really good conversions. But I'd say that's the fastest way to get started.
Yeah, and then also your AI tool, right? Like, you're here to hopefully get some people interested in participating in the Nvidia survey. So do you want to talk about that now and how that can help them?
Yeah, so the Nvidia Survey is a super simple software as a service tool that we built. It's just basic generation, basic editing, cloud storage, a couple text generation things. It's really just kind of a little playground that's free and very fast at generation, to kind of test out the waters if you haven't tried it before and play around with it. Even if you don't end up using those designs, it'd be great just to hear people's feedback on their thoughts about it and how it might fit in. So I'll send a link to that. It's just a super simple playground with some generation and text generation and some editing. So I can show you that really fast. But the idea is essentially just to kind of try it out if you haven't. And then at the end, we'll just send an email, an optional response, just kind of getting people's feedback on how it was for them. So I can show you that really quickly if you'd like.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, we can show that. And then after that, if you have anything else to add, otherwise we can wrap up.
Yeah. So there's some super simple generation, art prints, Oliver prints, stickers, embroidery. Here's an example. So
do you need to pay? I guess before anybody goes and clicks, they're always wondering.
It's free. I wouldn't make anyone pay for this. It's not that special. It's just kind of simple generation, asset management, etc.
Anybody watching, if you haven't tried like text to image, simple text prompt, try it now.
Yeah, it will be faster and a bit better than any other free one you'll find. I have to admit, Midjourney is definitely better for the images. I can't possibly compete against that, but this is a great way to just kind of play around with it and test it out if you haven't. But I'll just try to, so you type in the prompt and the design prompt and the style prompt and just generate. And we are on a slower server right now than we will be by the time you guys are trying this. We'll be switching over to a super fast Nvidia server, but it just kind of generates that design here. That was a terrible output, but it'll probably be better when you guys try it, hopefully.
It's a good way to learn the ins and outs too of like the AI image generation.
Play around with them. Yeah,
it's not perfect.
And then tag generation, title generation, description generation. This is just cleaned up GPT-4. And then, but once you generate, you'll have asset management and a basic editing window, etc. So it's super simple, but it's fun to play around with. And I'd love to get your guys' feedback on that. It's directly partnered with Nvidia, so it's kind of a cool way to get involved with this early stages. Hi, people at Nvidia. Hopefully, we'll be looking at your guys' feedback if you want. But yeah, it's just a super simple thing that we just want to kind of get the first steps on feedback for people in print on demand.
That's awesome, man. I do appreciate you sharing that. My only thoughts when you're saying that was like, that's only if people still work at Nvidia, right? If they didn't all just get like incredibly rich.
I think they'll be safe. Yeah.
If they didn't all just go buy their own like islands, you know what I mean? Everybody that worked for Nvidia now owns an island in the Caribbean, and they just nobody shows up to work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are leaving for startups though from Nvidia and places like OpenAI. If someone's leaving from OpenAI, they're just getting funded super high. So there's a lot of that, but I think there's still a lot of people left.
Yeah, their stock is just like, it added something like $250 billion like overnight, like a month ago.
That's been their long-term plan. They've had these supercluster servers and stuff for a long time now. A lot of people in the industry were investing a lot in that before kind of the AI wave over the last year and a half. But
smart people. All right. Well, Tom, man, thank you for taking time out of your day to do something that most people don't do, by the way. You showed your websites, which I know everybody's going to appreciate. And like he said, guys, like you can try to compete, but it is extremely hard to rank on some of these high value SEO keywords that he's killing it on. So we do really appreciate that. Anything else you wanted to add before we sign off?
No, I think that's it. I think this is going to be a huge change over the next few years, and kind of getting in now is kind of a fun thing to do. Right now, just all you need is Midjourney, your laptop, and Photoshop, and you can start to have some really advanced, really good products that will do really well, especially on Etsy. So I think it's a super good time to get started, and it's simple to get started.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for being here, guys. All the links will be in the description, and I'll see you guys later.